So I'm still on my way to Madoc. I'm just supposed to be meeting Jeff down there at the park and ride across from Coffee Time. This is Highway 28 as it turns off towards Bancroft from Highway 7, just north of Peterborough. And one of the quite interesting things about this area is the drumlins. And Peterborough is in the middle of what they call a drumlin swarm, and these are glacial features, subglacial features, where the rock and the soil has piled up underneath the moving ice sheets of the glaciers, and it's pushed up. The ice sheet has actually pushed up heaps of soil and debris, unsorted, and piled them in these sort of elongated mounds. And you can see behind me maybe, that's an example of a drumlin, steep on one side, tapering off on the other side, and takes soil and rock from miles and miles away, sometimes hundreds of miles away, and deposits them all over underneath the sheets. So last glaciers through here, we're talking about 14,000 years ago, maybe a little less. And they actually found in a nearby railway cutting through one of these drumlins, they actually found what was called the Peterborough diamond, which was a very large diamond. I think they were saying it came from somewhere around Timmins or up in that direction where the kimberlites come out in northern Ontario. Look at this place, it's all deserted. This is Deloro, a valley of gold, or more appropriately, valley of pollution. This is the actual site, which is presently under cleanup by the Ministry of Environment. You can see there's obviously radioactive stuff stored here. Basically the whole site is, I say it's blowing with cobalt and arsenic and various heavy metals, and when you think about it being above a limestone plateau, it's really quite a significant polluting effect in the area. Strangely polluted and decaying atmosphere in this little town. Very little in the way of paint, everything's peeling. Old cars sitting everywhere. And that was from the noise mine, maybe?
Well, the noise, whether it's the noise mine or... I'll be right back.
Sure. So you can see there's a little bit of green. This is from the noise mine. This gentleman here has just shown me his specimen from his grandfather. You see cubes, lots of little cubes, beginning of octahedrons. That's phenomenal. That's going kind of pinkish, eh? And is that also from the noise mine?
So, well, all of these mines around here basically produced all the same.
Uh-huh.
They had a plant in Northbrook where they produced fire brick.
Uh-huh.
And that's basically where most of this, I shouldn't say most of it, a lot of it went to Northbrook.
That's the fluoride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be crushed and put into fire brick.
Wow. You can just imagine the stuff, that crystals that they ground up, and
yeah.
Pretty sad.
Yeah, it's amazing, it really is.
So I'm right at the edge of the Moira Lake here, from which the Moira River flows. And this is the site of the old Perry Lake mine, or at least the Perry mine. I think that's it there. It's either a giant-sized outhouse that they've capped, or looking down those pipes, you can see into the old shaft. Not sure. You decide for yourself. I'm going to take a couple of pictures down there. But I mean, there's no sign of it now, but they used to find some amazing fluorites in this area. So I'm going to kind of check out the recent road cutting, and apparently there's a railway line just up there, the old COR line. I think that's what it was. And they found a seam along there that had initially tipped them off to the initial mine, which was up in that direction. So this is the other side of the Perry mine. Looks like I can see some of the old foundations there. What is this? Oh, it's blocked off. So that would have been the old mine. I'm going to go and speak to the property owner, see if he'll let me have a closer look. But I can see the kind of rock that comes out of the vein. There's some concrete things there. So this is the Perry mine?
Yeah.
The Perry mine. Yeah. So you can see the old shaft down there. You said 38 meters to the bottom?
Yeah.
Ah, that's something, eh?
But they samples all
Okay.
around the house.
Okay.
And they said that the crown isn't thick enough.
Uh-huh.
So they can't fix it that way.
So there's obviously this fissure runs along Underneath the house, there's a sinkhole on the other side. And your wife was saying that the government bought the house? Because
they said they were gonna.
Okay.
They said they can't fix it with the house there, so they have to tear the house down.
Sort of whitish and pink.
So that's your calcite. That's in the very center of the vein, of the fluorite vein, and then you're going to have barite and fluorite moving outward.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's the fluorite. It's like a honey color.
And everything.
Yeah. So all of that is tailings pile from the mine. Wonder how much room there is actually down there. I mean, how far the actual mine went.
He said it was only. He said it was probably only about between 6 and 8 feet wide.
So I've probably mentioned it before, but this particular fissure, it runs for several kilometers, starts at the south end of the lake, cuts through the middle where the railway line is, and then runs all along the north shore of the lake. It's about that wide in most places, jogs from side to side actually, so it'll run for about 100 meters and jumps to the side or the other side, and all within is just really amazing fluorite with crystals wherever there's cavities, so you can see the scabbing of fluorite along the edges of the wall there. Now here's the beginnings of an octahedron, you can see. Honey, sort of like a honey colored octahedron. Oh, there's some beautiful green crystals. Looks like they've been cleaved along the edges. Just lying here just under the dirt. These people didn't even realize what they had. They said they've lived here 20 years. I mean, there was at one time before they bought the house, you know, a significant head frame in the area. There's another piece right there. So I guess they had plans for a gazebo back here, and they had just finalized the plans, and they went into the house, came back out, and there was a pit where the gazebo was going to be. So it was very lucky they hadn't got as far as actually building the gazebo. Ooh, almost missed that. Don't know how, but look at that. That is quite phenomenally clear. It almost seems like all the really good stuff is along the edge here. There's another piece just as I'm talking. It all seems to be concentrated right on the edge of the pit, and more the till kind of stuff is towards the outer edges there. Some pinks and pale greens on this one. Calcite, no, sorry, that's barite with little prism ends. That's interesting. Some kind of a metallic substance, crystal. So I mean, this is the shaft on the other side. Apparently the landowners were told it was just an air shaft, but it's quite a bit bigger than that, and again, as I was told, it goes down 38 meters, and it threatens to swallow the house because the two shafts kind of line up beneath the surface. So unfortunate for them, but the government is buying them out. So a couple of years from now, the house will have been bought. It's sitting right over the seam, and apparently, as I say, it's the landowners say it's caving in. The government will have capped both these open shafts, and this will just exist as a piece of land that's kind of growing over, no doubt, with trees and brush and scrub. But all of this will still remain beneath, and it will be a primo rock hounding site. So again, the old Perry mine will come back into its own as a rock hounding destination. I absolutely guarantee it. Just don't spread the word too far. That's actually really cool. I've found both sides of the Perry mine now, and hopefully this one I've just visited will be returning to rock hounds at some time in the future. Because I'm quite sure the government doesn't care what's there. They're just going to decommission it and pour concrete in the holes, and that's it. Done deal. So, as I mentioned, there's a fault line or a fissure that runs through the middle of the Moira Lake. And I'm thinking, well, it runs along the south edge of it, crosses through the lake and along the north edge. I almost think this might be where it starts leading up towards the center of the Moira Lake. It's running out from the Noise mine, which is up in that direction. And it's running in that kind of direction there. So hence onwards to the Perry Lake mine, where I've just been, and it was a really cool experience to actually see the mine. because I'd heard so much about it. I've seen old pictures of the Perry Lake mine, and now I actually see it. And having heard of the octahedrons that you find in the soil, I actually found something approximating one of these honey-colored octahedrons. So if you're interested in any further readings on the Marmor area, there is my book, of course, Volume 2. I talk about the Marmor area. And there'll also be a little bit in Volume 3 of my book, Rockhound, Geography of Collecting. But currently, you could go on the Mindat site. Frank Fest has written a really good article on this particular area, and he also talks about the Noise Mine. There's also Goulet, I think it's W.M. Goulet, who wrote Top Spar or Fluorospar in Ontario. And if you type that into the internet, it brings up a document that shows all of the different mines in this area. And it was kind of the beginning of my searches, was to look at this fluorospar in Ontario by Goulet.